Yeah, I could do it up for you in Illustrator. Whatever logo that you had in mind. Or just show you how to use it. It's pretty easy to use.
I can't talk.
The Powley experience.
Yeah, it's on my phone, which I was going to show you. So how you going? Hugh Hayward, our first local hero.
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty
Cheers.
good.
Happy Sunday.
Nervous as my first ever of my own podcast.
0.1. If it's crap, you can can it.
Just got to avoid the awkward silences.
I'm the master of awkward silences. You picked pretty much the most awkward person to come on as the first.
To be hosted by the second most awkward.
This will be fun then. No, I like what you've done here, man. It's really impressive. I'm going to have to move in, I think.
You can move into the veranda. The swag out there with the dogs.
Yeah.
Take
I'll
over
quit.
my role. I'll move inside, upgrade.
I'll quit my day job and become your Jamie.
So what is your day job?
Oh, I'm a bit of a nobody, actually. Yeah, I can't call myself an acupuncturist anymore. So
Why not? Oh, gone.
yeah,
Because of the...
because of those particular events that got me. I just decided to deregister. Yeah, it's a sinking ship, so I thought I'd get off before it imploded.
Mm.
Yeah, so I can't call myself an acupuncturist. I am a acupuncture consultant, and I just waft around the clinic.
So is anyone doing acupuncture still?
Yeah. I still
But
do.
not you.
I still do acupuncture. So I can. It's a pretty weird setup. I'm allowed to say I do acupuncture. I just can't call myself an acupuncturist. Hence the reason why I saw no need to keep paying money to this VIP club who only protects the title and not the title of the practice. Because I could be a plumber and say I do acupuncture and put signs out, acupuncture, come get acupuncture. And, what's the point? So, but yeah, if you want health funds, then M still is a qualified acupuncturist.
To actually claim.
Yeah,
Like,
because
yeah,
you can't
okay.
do that with me anymore.
Yep. I don't do that anyway.
How do you rate it? The old...
The acupuncture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Sort you back out?
It was all right until I saw the photo of myself that you took. Saw how white my bum and everything was like, whoa. Can't have anyone else seeing that.
Yeah, we'll have to deal with that every day. Consider yourself lucky you get to...
The sauna, though, is
Yeah, the sauna's
unreal.
good.
Really, really good.
I love the sauna. I actually rate that over the acupuncture because you can just press a button and get in there. And I don't have to get on my hands and knees and just kiss M's toes and get her to give me a treatment.
Who's M?
M is my...
For all my loyal followers that don't know.
She's another nobody. She's my
Another
significant
local
other.
hero.
She's my baby mama. The love of my life. Yeah.
And you got 2 good kids and another one on the way, right?
Yep. 2 little terrors, Marlo and Minna. And then another one due in April. So that's going to be exciting.
April the 13th.
Something like that.
Best day of the year.
Is it a Friday as well?
Yep, should be. If you're lucky.
And a black moon. Yeah, I've got the goat's blood ready. We're planning a home birth.
How's that going to go, you reckon? Everything looking like...
Yeah, I don't know. I'm shitting myself a little bit, to be honest. But we'll see. You're going to fix the driveway for me and build us a pool.
There's a cricket noise actually on one of those things.
That would come in handy. Yeah. I can do it.
So you're nervous about it, but is M?
No, she's in her element. She's totally chilled.
Like actually excited about it, or
I think so. If she's nervous, she's not showing it. She's definitely
just angry?
just the regular pregnant emotions that No, she's just in her element. It's like it's a wild, innate woman quality just to be able to birth anywhere, anytime.
Mm.
You know, you don't, if your cat's pregnant and about to birth, you don't chuck it in a car and send it to the hospital.
Mm.
It just wanders off into the bush somewhere, and then you've got 6 kittens or something. Like,
Have you been through that?
have you?
Not that I'm aware of.
I've been through it with my guinea pigs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty wild experience. And I've been elbow deep in a cow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my grandparents have property in Tangambalanga.
In Victoria?
Yeah.
Because you're originally from Victoria, right?
No, I'm from Cairns.
Oh, right. But then...
But my dad's from Victoria. Well, they're from Victoria. He got as far away as he could when he could. Yeah.
And so you haven't spent a lot of time down there, just sort of visiting or...
No, we lived in Melbourne for a year. And that was it.
Oh,
Then got out. It
I
was-
the bull by the tail then.
A year was enough. One winter in Melbourne, man. That was enough for me.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a horrible place.
Mm.
It's a good place in small doses. And if you got kids, then there's far better things to do up here in the Northern Rivers.
Mm.
As my Victorian family and friends are finding out,
Mm.
they're all too keen to get up here.
Mm. Along with the rest of Melbourne and the rest of Sydney and...
Yeah. Yeah, the rest of the world at the moment.
Mm.
But I don't blame them, man. We're in paradise.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, look around. How long have you been back here?
Since when I went to do the mowing today, or...
Didn't you go overseas for a bit?
Yeah, well, I went... Sort of left this area directly when I was sort of 18-ish, I guess, out of school to go work up the Gold Coast, lived up there. Then went to Perth in my mid-20s, just briefly. Then Japan. Yeah, don't burp on my good mics.
I'm already coughing and
You burp
sputtering
it,
on-
you bought it.
having an asthma attack on them. What are you doing in Perth?
Just chased a girl over there. Isn't,
Oh,
that,
yeah.
isn't that the only reason a guy goes to a different place?
Pretty well.
But then worked.
Chasing a girl or running from a girl.
Yeah, one or the other. But chased a girl over there. Worked there for almost 12 months, I think. Got to see not a huge amount of Western Australia, but got to see all of Perth. Lived in Fremantle. Got to see, down around Margaret River area, that kind of thing. And up to Lancelin and a few different places up the coast. Inland a little bit. Not around Karratha and that kind of stuff, but on the way. Got to see some pretty good stuff.
Have you seen Fishing the Wild on YouTube? These two.
Is that where they go searching for monster fish? Like,
No, not really. It's like 2 teachers and they're just cruising around with packs and but they're in WA. Yeah, it's a good channel. They do heaps of good fishing around Perth.
oh yeah,
Excuse me.
all right. So you're a little bit crook from brush cutting, right?
Yeah, well, I think it's an accumulation of things. I ate a lot of pizza last night and drank a lot of beer, and that tends to give me asthma.
Definitely.
In
asthma.
combination with
nothing else.
whatever
You've been
allergen.
tested.
No, we won't call it the virus that has no name. The virus that has no virus.
And so, along with your home birth, you're considering not registering or
Oh yeah. So I don't know if we're gonna go ahead with that. And the reason being, and it sounds like a bit of a cop out, is because we want Centrelink. Pretty slack, really. So Em hasn't done any research into it. I haven't really been too fast.
as in like child support or what's the
I think it's family tax. And I haven't even. I literally haven't been thinking about it. I'm too stressed out about the road. For anyone
about
listening,
your driveway?
yeah,
Is it that bad at the moment? Is it all?
it's pretty bad. Em's car's on the fritz as well. Like she's got a bit of a transmission issue. It's not. It's not hooking into low, so it's just sort of. It starts to spin up, and then something happens with the traction control, and then it just sort of.
It's not a European car, is it?
It's a European car. I don't know if they're still made in Europe, but I won't name the brand. But it's been a little beast, actually. It pretty much goes anywhere. It's an awesome car, except for the time it spends in the workshop. Yeah, so for anyone listening, it's like a 700 metre, basically four-wheel drive track to our house. And Brendan knows all about it. He's helped us out with it a bit. We've thrown money at it and it just keeps getting torn up with the rain. But yeah, it's the price you pay to live in paradise. So. Apart from that, it's a beautiful place.
What are the other prices you pay to live in paradise? Is that the only one, or any others that you can list on there?
Yeah, that's the main one. What about power, water, just having your family come and stay, just all the general joys of living off-grid.
And you're completely off the grid, right?
Yeah, we're completely off the grid. If you can count satellite internet as being off the grid, then we're still off the grid. It's a part of the grid. It's the outer ways, the outer grid.
But no power, no water. Well, you do have power, but you don't have no connection, no water connection, no sewer connection. So for a lot of people, that's...
Yeah, it's as off-grid as off-grid gets, except we have all the comforts of a regular house.
Air conditioning,
a fridge.
Cleaners.
Cleaners who can't get up the driveway because M's car died. Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, so they were halfway up and then they had to turn around and go back because they couldn't get up there.
And the aircon guy, what happened with him? He ran up there, didn't he, to call you?
Yeah, he did. He had to run to the top of the hill and then the neighbours had to ferry him around. So it's always fun trying to get tradies or get friends up there.
Yeah, the price for living in paradise.
But it's also good because it means that not every Tom, Dick and Harry can just come knocking on your door. And if someone gets a complaint like council, they might even just think twice about heading up there at all.
Yeah, that is what the privacy is pretty good up here, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, occasionally you'll get someone trying to find the national park or, it's just someone wanting to go bushwhacking. But
so speaking of the national park and bushwhacking, you went out into the park, right? How long have you actually been here? We'll get back to that. How long have you been living here now? Being my lovely neighbour.
I don't know. How long has it been? I think it's about 5 years. Is this the 5th year? Somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah. It's flown by. We got a little business in Pottsville, and that's second half. I was at Helen's for 8 months. So it's probably about 4.5 years. Yeah. Yeah, I need a lifetime to explore this place. It's wild.
It is. Luckily for me, I had a lifetime out here, and yeah, it's about as good as it gets, right?
Yeah, and lucky for me, I have the world's best tour guide here to show me around.
Yeah, one day. But so you went out into the park, right? Into the national park behind your property.
Yeah.
How long? Because you're a bit of a survivalist type kind of. You like that sort of stuff, right?
I like watching it on TV from the comfort of my own home. I don't know. I'd like to test myself one day.
You kind of did. I mean, in when you told me, I was like, and I think for a lot of people, it'd be like, you did what? So you went into the park with your backpack.
Yeah, that's just a regular walk in the park. Like I had my dehydrated food. I had all my luxuries, my fire starter and
toilet on my back, shower on the shoulder.
Pretty cruisy, really. And I knew where I was going to sleep. I had my hammock and my bivvy and everything. So
what's a bivvy?
It's like a single bed, that you can...
I know, just for our listeners,
Well, okay, so my setup, because I'm into ultralight hiking, so I want to be able to travel long distances and not have to break my back doing it, so I try to carry under 20 kilos. Some people might not consider that ultralight, but I reckon 15 to 20 is a good amount, including food. And my setup for sleep is like I got a hammock and I have a single swag. And that single swag doubles as a hammock, and then the tarp goes over the top, so I can kind of use it on the ground, or I can hang it in trees if there's no flat ground. And it's really lightweight and it's really, really versatile.
And so that trip in particular was like 2 days, right? You stayed overnight. You did one night out in the park, or two?
I did 2 nights.
And you stayed at one campsite. You told me there was someone else there, right? Or
Yeah, well, it was
not
a
an
pretty
actual campsite, but
it was a pretty eventful mission. Every other mission I've been on has been pretty uneventful. You're just on your own, slightly boring, really. The first spot I
Boring,
stayed at.
but pretty stimulating at the same time, right?
Yeah, there's lots to do, lots to think about. I'm trying to think about how to... Should we just tell everyone where I went?
Yeah, well, it was the Jerusalem National Park, right? Mount Jerusalem National Park, which used to be Chowan State Forest, sort of in the Tweed, southern sort of Tweed Valley, almost on the edge of the Byron Shire. You probably actually went into the Byron Shire, I think, didn't you? Because you went down to the south end of the park.
Yeah, it would have been in the Byron Shire. So the first night...
Everyone knows, all of our listeners know where Byron is, of course.
The national park kind of connects our area to the Byron Shire, and it's a massive national park. So I spent the first day walking in to the spot that I sort of planned to camp at, and then I was set up there for the night. And the plan was the next day to make my way up a ridge and then back into a different valley. And then my mate works at Crystal Castle, so I was going to get a lift. I was going to camp somewhere on the top there for the second night. And then get a lift home the next day. So I was going to make it sort of a 2 to 3 night kind of adventure.
So you weren't going to trek back?
No, that wasn't.
Going to pike it just one way?
Yeah, that was the plan
just
anyway.
Put your thumb out. yeah,
that's what you do here, isn't it?
Take me home.
It's the Northern Rivers, mate. That's how it's done.
Once you get into the Byron Shire, then the thumb goes out on the side of the road.
Yeah. And then you can watch 50 cars pass you. So... The first spot I stayed at, it was actually, it was a really nice spot. I was feeling pretty good there as I was falling asleep. I'd been there with some other people, like in the day, people were coming and going. I felt pretty safe. I had a nice little fire. My tummy was full. There were yabbies visiting me and stuff. And then I woke up at 3 a.m. to this weird humming noise. And it sounded like it was about a meter outside of my my hammock. And I thought, oh shit, like the UFOs are here to get me. They're coming to take me away. The aliens are going to put stuff in me. And I was just petrified. I just lay there for about 3 hours.
Did you pull your sleeping bag over your head for protection?
Yeah, exactly like that.
That
Petrification, like I've never really feel like that before. And I've been in the bush a lot. I've done a fair few missions like that. And being on my own in the bush is not a thing that I usually am concerned about. But it was just a weird feeling. And then a dingo howled off in the distance, and that kind of put me at ease. I felt, oh, someone's here with me. I fell back asleep. And then the next
did the
day,
humming continue, or is it?
Yeah, I can still hear it right now. It went away. Like I fell back asleep, I woke up, it was gone. And then the next day was just horrible. Like everything that could go wrong went wrong that next day. It was really weird. So
hold that thought while I check something. Screen's gone blank here, so I just want to check that it's actually still. Yeah, still recording. And what I might actually do is, just in case, and also for...
Yeah, I don't really want to put people off going into the bush or having a good time in the bush, but it is a pretty good story. Yeah.
And so the next day everything went wrong.
Yeah, it was just like one thing after the other. So I set off. I had a bit of a sleep in because I was pretty tired from lying there.
From the humming.
Yeah, from the humming, just waiting for the aliens to come and probe me. And then I set off pretty late, decided because I was going to make it up this ridge. And I got absolutely lost. I don't know how I got lost because I had my GPS. It was just basically one line of travel pretty much the whole way there.
And were you literally going through the bush or following a trail?
Yeah, I was just bushwhacking, no trail. I got done by stinging tree too, actually.
Oh, like a nettle, like a stinging nettle?
No, not a nettle. You know the heart shape. It's called stinging tree, the heart-shaped leaf tree. We have it up north in Cairns, and I just did not expect it to be down here, so I wasn't looking out for it.
Mm.
They've got a heart-shaped leaf, really, really fine, like orange or white fibers. And inside those fibers, they're like tubes. And inside the tube, they've got like a neurotoxin. And if you get it on your skin, it can affect the nerves in that area where it touches for up to like 3-4 months.
And is it so it might be a different one. Someone else pointed out one actually just over here on our place a couple of weeks ago, which I didn't know about, but he showed it to me and said you don't want to touch that because people have been known to end up shooting themselves because of the pain.
Yeah, it can drive you insane. I've had a few friends done by it up north, and it's pretty bad. And you can't escape it. It's not the pain that, you try to put cold water on it or ice. Everything you put on it just makes it worse.
Chop the hand off.
Yeah, just
I can't hold me GPS.
Yeah, luckily, I've never been done by stinging tree before, but I saw the tree and I was like, was that an itchy caterpillar or something? And then I had some duct tape on me, so straight away, if you feel it or you see it in the area and you start to feel a burn, just get the duct tape on it straight away, and then just pull out the fibers. And then it actually only lasted for half an hour after that. So either I was...
Do you think because you were onto it and...
I don't know, it might not have got me that bad. I could have been lucky. Or it could have been like a immature tree or something. I don't really know. But the ones up north have like white fibers, and this one had orange fibers. So maybe it's a slightly different, less intense strain. Who knows? But you can eat the berries off them too.
Oh yeah,
if you can get to them.
You can't touch the leaves, but you can eat the berries.
Yeah, they're quite tasty too.
So that was on the second day.
So that was on the second day. Halfway up this hill, just bushwhacking through Lantana, lost, getting stung by a stinging tree. And then I pretty much...
I can't wait to
I can see the peak. Like, it's only about 12 foot from me, but it's like a sheer vertical climb, and the rock is really, really gravelly and it's sort of breaking off in my hands, and I've got a 15 kilo, 20 kilo pack on my back, no ropes, no one's with me, and I just thought, oh, fuck, I can't make it up that without being stupidly careless, like if I get hurt, no one's going to know where I am, and it was just too dumb. So I decided to turn around and just head back, and decided to camp at another spot that was sort of on the way home. That was a pretty nice spot.
This is the good part, right?
Yeah, it might be good for you people listening. And at this point I'm thinking, shit, like, what is going on? I'm having the worst day possible. I've also encountered some pretty strange folk. People were kind of cruising around in like doof wear. I don't know if it's from like the night before.
On that day?
Yeah, during the day. So I'm like, did they have a big night the night before and they're sort of trying to find their way home, and and they were like in the middle of nowhere.
You talk to them?
Yeah, I was like, do you guys know where you're going? And they're like, just ignored me. And they just head down like... So I thought, okay, well, at least they're going the other direction. Yeah, and that humming sort of came back too a little bit. I just tried to ignore it and keep going. And I finally got... This
is still daylight?
Yeah, this is still daylight. By the time I got off the hill and found my way again...
How did you feel then when the humming came back? Did you sort of get like the heebie-jeebies kind of thing? Or
I didn't really
remembering it from the night before? Or?
I just thought I was exhausted. I thought, this is like a blood pressure thing, because I was just absolutely smashed. By the time I got back down off the hill and back onto the track, it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I've been smashing through the track and climbing up the steep peak for like, I don't know, like 10 hours or something. It was like a pretty brutal day. It was 10 hours by the time I got to the campsite. And I was sitting there, set up my pack, had a little fire going, and the sun was just about to go over the hill, and I spot this dude staring at me from behind a rock. I'm like, okay, hey mate, how you going? And he's just sort of peeking at me over this rock, and he kind of like turns around and scurries off. And I think, oh shit. Why does he not want to... If he had just said, oh, hey, how you going? Then I would have been completely put at ease, oh yeah, he's just another hiker or whatever.
Yeah.
But he kind of freaked out and scurried off when I saw him. And that made me think, oh shit, he's like got a crop up here, or he's tripping balls or something sus. And I thought, I can't sleep here. Not if this guy's going to be scurrying about, and I saw him come back down. I just sort of tried to ignore it, and I was just weighing up my options. Like, do I sleep here, or do I sit next to my hammock all night with my knife out, or do I just pack up and leave? Because it was about a 3.5 hour walk back to home. And in the end, I decided just to pack up and just do the hard mission back home.
So you did end up walking home. So the original idea of getting to Crystal Castle and getting the lift home, you've pretty much failed.
Oh, there was no going back to Crystal Castle. And at this point, I'm thinking I'm well and truly cursed. You know, whatever was going on at 3 a.m. that night before, it was pretty. It just was like bad thing after the other, bad thing.
Might have been M putting out a mental vibe. Get back here.
Bring him home. Yeah, so I like packed up all my gear, and then on my way out, somehow he's made it back to his car, and he's like rummaging around in his car. And
the rock fella.
Yeah, the rock fella. And I said hi to him again, and he just ignored me. And he had like gas bottles in his car and shit. I'm thinking, fuck, this guy's cracked out. Like he's looking for a gun or something. And it was like Wolf Creek at that point. So I just started walking really fast. And then I saw his car turn on, and he starts like coming up the way that I'm walking, and it's a dead end as well. And if he's local, you know, he knows it's a dead end. There's no reason for him to go up there. There's a turnaround where he's at, right where he is. So I'm thinking, shit, he's coming to look for me. And I'm exhausted. Like I've got stinging tree. I'm like, I didn't get any sleep the night before. I'm fried. I'm just like, yeah, this guy's like going to murder me and like stuff me in his boot. And so I just started running, and I jumped down into the bush, into the ditch, and the car like drives up real slow past me, and he's like looking out the window.
So you were actually sort of trying to hide in the ditch.
I jumped into the embankment. I'm hiding there going, shit, fuck. I had my knife out. I was like,
yeah, right. Huh.
But I knew he couldn't see me because I kind of walked around a bend, and then as soon as I walked around the bend, I jumped into the ditch.
Yeah.
And I could see his headlights, but he was driving real slow. Then he turned around at the top.
Oh, so this was dark.
Yeah, this is dark.
It's full Wolf Creek, isn't it?
It was a pretty wild experience. Yeah, I think next time I go into that particular place, you know, it could have just been paranoia. But it was exciting.
The whole thing.
Yeah. He might not even have been there at all. And then he took off, and I thought, okay, I feel pretty safe. And I just legged it. Almost stood on the snake as well in the dark. My eyes. I didn't want to turn my headlamp on because I was worried about, alerting them as to where I was. And so I just was going by moonlight. I almost stood on a snake. Finally made it past the boom gate. I thought, okay, I'm safe. Like no one's going to be able to find me up here. And I was about an hour from home. And then I could hear a pack of wild dogs. And like dingoes, I'm not really concerned with. It wasn't a pack of wild dogs. It was a mum and pups. And she was sort of like, and they were like pretty close, and the pups were going off too. And I thought, shit, if like I come across them and she's got her pups, you know, maybe she would be defensive or something, you know. So I sparked up a cigarette, and I had a big stick, and thought maybe the smell of the smoke would put them off. And just went on my way home. Finally got there in the end. And that was the most exhausted I'd ever been.
Have you been confronted by dogs before? Apart from this afternoon?
Yeah, those two are pretty wild. If I saw those two in the bush, I don't know. I think I'd have to climb up a tree. They're pretty fierce.
That was a one-off example today.
Yeah.
Normally they'd just be licking your feet.
Yeah, usually they're not as terrifying.
I got stood up, bailed up by 2 dogs once. I told you about that, Out near Tunnable Creek, out on a property where we were working.
Yeah, right. 2 wild dogs?
In the afternoon, yeah. Well, either wild but they were, I think they were, what do they call them, those sheep protectors? Big white things.
Oh, like Maramas?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Maramas, yeah, a couple of them. Either, I don't know if they were wild or from a neighbouring property or whatever, but I was walking back to my ute after locking up a machine, and they come down from the top of a hill, saw me from the top of the hill, a clear track kind of a thing, saw me, started barking at me, and I was like, started moving, and they just
Came straight for you.
straight down. That was like 100 metres away kind of thing. Ran down to me, and pretty much circled me. Had one on each side, and they were just snapping like crazy. And it was pretty.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah,
they're big dogs too. Those Maromas.
Yeah, they were big, and they were like literally snapping at me and frothing pretty much. And I was trying to pretend I was a bear, basically, just.
Were you trying to stand tall?
Tried to put my hands up in the air and just yelling as loud as I could. Tried to intimidate them,
What happened in the end? Did you?
Well, I was holding a metal, just a little metal thing, part of a machine sort of thing, and was prepared to start. Whichever one came first was prepared to basically try and stab it in the side of the head with that, but it was blunt, so I don't know how that would have worked, but but eventually just kind of like had the yelling standoff, and then just kind of just sort of shuffled out of there because they had me sort of what's the word, pincered or whatever, one each side, and just sort of kept shuffling out until I could manage to get away and get them both onto one side, and then just sort of basically walked away, and they just kept barking and barking and barking, and then I got to my car, got the door shut and got out of there.
I think they're trained to bail you up too, those Maromas. Yeah, I went to a chicken farm. I put the word out to see if anyone wanted some rabbits shot. And this guy, he had an organic chicken farm down in Lismore, and he had a pack of Maromas. And any farmer who keeps Maromas, I have seen a couple where they actually keep them in the house, but usually they're kept out with the stock.
Yeah, because they adopt the animals, right? They take them on as their...
Yeah, it was like coming into a wolf den or something. Like you go in there and they had their own little tree, and they were like pups and
wow, 2
women, I think, or two bitches, and then the sire, and he was like man of the pack, and he was clearly the alpha. And when I walked in there, all of them stood up, and they were like, they're tall dogs. Like they come
big.
up to, man, really intimidating. It'd be pretty real to be bailed up by a pair of Maromas.
It was pretty bad. That was one of the worst experiences I've ever had in my life, I think, because I was thinking pretty much, if I get pulled onto the ground, I'm going to be getting ripped apart pretty much. Yeah. There wasn't much else that was going to be.
It's a pretty real thing here. Like you hear about it a fair bit. People getting attacked by wild dogs.
A lot of stock too, quite regularly.
Yeah, I wonder if that's where my roosters went.
What are they gone?
One of them's gone. The other one's missing. Cassie got midnight. Poor old midnight.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know where the other one is, but the chickens are still there. So
that's the main thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's good. Although they're not laying at the moment, so something must have happened.
Yeah. So the hike or the trekking kind of stuff, which is kind of in this region, is appears to be going to be becoming a popular thing, right? With what they're doing out in the park and that. So I think you mentioned once before, right? You wouldn't mind actually leading groups, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I mean, at our property, because of where we are. We got a pretty good spot for camping, walk-in campers. So we're thinking about setting it up for that. I was thinking pretty hard about that. I actually enjoy my time in the bush, so I can be alone, and so I don't have to talk to anyone. And that was pretty much the only downside is if I take a group out, it might be fun, or it might be, good money, and I'd probably learn a fair bit because I think any kind of teaching, whatever you're teaching, you're going to end up learning more teaching that, learning to guide, learning about different edible native species or whatever, or animals and stuff, or terrain, anything like that, or navigation. But I just like being out there and not having to answer to anyone.
You could just stay 20 metres in front of the group.
You guys go out and I'll just watch you from a distance.
If one of them talks too much, just lead them into the stinging tree.
Send them off to the creepy rock guy.
The rock man. Yeah, you couple camp down there tonight. The rest of us will be over here.
Yeah. Have you done much hiking?
Nah.
I got a spare pack actually. We should go for a mission.
Yeah, I'd be keen.
I've got a whole nother setup so we can do a few nights somewhere. I've done the Gold Coast and the Sunny Coast Great Hinterland Walk, and I've done. The best one I've done was a 5-day mission up at Hinchinbrook Island up north off of Cardwell. and
Which is up closer to Cairns.
Yeah, it's like 2.5 hours south of Cairns, and it's like Jurassic Park out there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the peaks, and then there's beach sections, and then swamp sections, and the place is filled with wild boar, and it's just like lots of different varying terrains and lots of creek crossings and croc slides everywhere. It's just really wild.
And so you like doing a bit of hunting as well, right?
Yeah, I like it when I can get it out to do it.
Your last effort wasn't too successful, was it?
No, it wasn't. Oh, that was another talk about, yeah.
Did you hear the humming before that trip?
It's funny. I'm an aspiring bushman, but it's hard with, the daily grind, kind of put time aside. Yeah, the locals didn't take too kindly to us hanging out in their state forest. And some kids ended up stealing a bottle of whiskey out of our tent. And the guy who chased him off said that the last time he was there, he got his car lit on fire. So yeah, private property is the way to go in my eyes, unless you can find a quiet, secluded spot. In Victoria, when we go stalking, we're looking for deer mostly.
Yeah, make sure you clarify that stalking.
Not stalking backpackers. Down in Gembrook in Victoria, they've got a really nice property there, and Gembrook is like lower Dandenongs and really old timber country, very much like the perfect country for deer and sambar deer as well. And
what are they?
They're just like the biggest, most stealthy kind of wander. They don't really hang out in herds as much.
So like the sort of the hardest.
Pretty much the hardest
catch kind of thing.
Yeah, or one of them. I think mule or hog deer might be a little bit trickier because they're smaller and hard to spot. But the sandbars are just so quiet. So yeah, most of sort of my deer stalking experience, I've never actually shot one, but all of the times that I've come onto a trail or just been in the bush looking for them have been on foot and travelling long distances. And this crew that I sort of hooked up with up here that we went to Nundle with, they are more about bowl around in your Land Cruiser with the gun out the window, and they're just cruising on fire trails. Yeah, spotties. They're not really that keen on like actually putting in the hard yards and walking with a pack. They're more about just catch an animal on the outskirts of a fire trail and pop it off and then load it into the car. Job done, go home. I prefer to be able to like really just take my time and absorb everything, and yeah, I feel like it's a more fair game too.
For sure.
Yeah. But I got more things at home to set up before I actually take an animal, I think. I need to get the freezer up and running and the cool room too. Work in progress.
Same as here.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to you, oh yeah, it's almost done. Just got to do this, just got to do that.
It's a lifelong endeavor, like hunting's and living out here too. It's like a lifestyle thing because there's so many factors that have to kind of come together to be able to do it and do it properly. And that's the reason I haven't taken an animal. That's because I haven't felt confident that it was a fair shot or it was a shot that I could take, or didn't have my rifle with me, or there's a lot of things that have to come together. It took me like 3 years of just practicing shooting before I was confident enough. And then even now, I just don't get to do it all that often.
And how's the diet going?
It's not going.
So you've been doing a carnivore diet, right?
See? Yeah, this is carnivore. This is actually bone broth in here. Yeah, I like to experiment. I experimented with veganism for 18 months before we moved to Melbourne, and while we were in Melbourne, it's pretty good actually. I felt quite good for the first 6 months. Yeah, you got to know your enemy, so try it all, and everything in moderation. Like this. I think the carnivore diet has probably been the only thing that I can say that I could do consistently and actually feel like consistent results. And I've done a fair bit of research into it. I get a lot of clients coming in who are vegan or who have been just trying not to eat too much meat because of some research they read about the environmental damage or the impact on their health or the idea that they've taken a life, But the reality is when you sort of dig a bit deeper, you can see that the environmental impacts of monocrops far outweigh biodynamic farming or... factory farming is definitely not a good thing, but most of the farming done in Australia is basically biodynamic. That's not that many people use hormones or antibiotics these days. There's just no need, like where we have so much space and quality pasture.
I don't know much about it, so I can't really chip in. I'll just take your word for it.
Yeah, it's the best I've felt. It's the best I've ever felt in my life.
Until you got to the Christmas pudding.
And the eggnog. It's a smooth decline from there. That's the only downfall. It makes you more sensitive to bullshit. So when you're on the diet, if you have like a beer, it's like, oh, damn, like that beer really is messing with my guts. Or if you have an ice cream, it really fucks you up. So, and that's not a bad thing. It just means that you kind of have to, you just have to figure out the things that really set you off. Like for me, the main reason for doing the diet was just to figure out, it's an elimination diet. So you take out all the things that could affect you, like salicylates, lectins, what else is in plant food that affects you? Things
Sap.
like sap. Yeah, all those unhealthy fibers and vitamins and minerals, can't have that. Yeah, the things that really flare me up are like the nightshade family. So tomatoes, potatoes, instant joint pain, instant bloating.
Yeah, well, I've heard other people close to me talking about the nightshade family being quite risky with a lot of the leaves or I don't know what, but yeah.
I think it's plant defense. Like they don't want you to eat them. They're brightly coloured. The fruits are okay, I think, in more cases than most. They're brightly coloured so that you'll eat them and spread their seeds. But apart from that, plants don't want you to eat them.
Teach me.
Just be like a bird. The biggest thing on that diet, was lack of anxiety. Like literally no anxiety.
On the carnivore diet?
Yeah, and I only did it strictly for about 4 weeks. If that. Like the fourth week, actually, I was introducing other foods. So really, if anyone wants to experience it, just eating a good quality animal protein and get some drippings or some trimmings, some fat, boil that down, and you'll get tallow, and then just use that in all your cooking. Have just tablespoons of that every day because your body needs to utilize that fat for energy. And eggs are okay. And salt, heaps of salt, so that you keep your magnesium and mineral stores up. Otherwise you end up with cramping. Lots of water. And organ meat, because that's where all your vitamins come from. So if anyone wants to try it, just do that for 2 weeks. And just even in 2 weeks, you'll notice all of the benefits. You might have like a week where your body's adjusting to get into ketosis. And I had a fair bit of die-off symptoms like bloating and headaches and burping.
But kind of similar to getting off almost, or to any diet change, right? When people try and kick...
Yeah, you got to readjust your gut biome.
Or whatever.
Yeah, not even as bad as getting off coffee, like...
My last effort was pretty bad.
On coffee? Are you back
on it now.
Back on the cough?
A couple of weeks ago, had a worst one. I've done it a few times, and it was by far the worst. It was just... Headache was bad.
Everyone's drinking coffee over Christmas, and so I was sort of back into it too. I love the taste of it. And you get headaches if you don't, like...
Especially when it becomes a really regular thing.
Even one a day.
Well, that's all I'm never more than one a day, or rarely more than one a day. I wouldn't be able to handle it. People I know that just like drink, I might just get another coffee. You end up having like 4 or 5 a day.
Yeah. That's when you don't have it and then you've got the sweats and wait till you have kids. You'll need something. You'll need sauna or like, or just raw liver. You'll need something to keep you going. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day.
Yeah. What's the story with that?
With my kids. You met in the Savo.
Brendan can't find a lady because his 2 dogs asleep in his bed.
Used to, not anymore. Got too uncomfortable.
Kicked him out.
You know, one day soon, maybe. Looking more. I'm actually looking more than I went through a pretty long period of time recently where I wanted to sort a lot of my own stuff out. Pretty much the last sort of few years, I've tried to dedicate a fair bit of time to myself, working out what I want to achieve. This being part of it, you know, a few things I want to do, and sort of get myself into a position where I felt that I was ready to actually make a proper commitment to someone, which I've kind of, through my life, I have thought I was at different times, but then realised that I wasn't. And after, I've sort of seen failed relationships, not my own, but also others around me and that kind of thing, and I've always been pretty wary of the result kind of thing, especially with kids, obviously. And I've actually actively, which is obviously why I'm still single, but I've actively
I think
avoided getting into a bad situation.
I think more people could benefit from experiencing aloneness for a while and like just fully finding yourself, and then once you found yourself, you know, this is who I am, and I'm not going to fall in with someone who's going to like me for someone I'm not.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, 100%.
And it takes a special kind of woman to live out here, you know, like.
Yeah.
But the pad's set up now, man. It's ready, ladies.
Only this section. There's still a few more sections to do.
Are you still going to go on Farmer Wants a Wife?
No, I think all that got canned. Well, I sort of aborted it straight away, but the other person that was trying to rope me into it, I think he ended up canning it as well. I don't know what happened, whether he canned it or whether
maybe the whole thing got canned because of the virus.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Although I think that industry, I think, is full steam ahead because in-home entertainment is a critical part of the.
So they just have to wear masks on screen and.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a crazy world in these unprecedented times, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. So what do you? So we've just been through 2020, obviously, which brought us everything that brought us, and now we're into the new year. What are you hoping? What are you thinking? Well, obviously you've got a new baby, which has taken up the majority of your thoughts.
That's pretty much taken up everything at the moment. Just head down, trying to get as much adventure in before that happens. So I've been riding lots. I'm going on a dive course next week. Going to do my open water refresher up at Tweed, and then the week after that I'm going to Cairns.
Refresher, so you've already got your...
Yeah, I got my open waters. I did that in marine biology in high school.
Oh, yeah.
It was a sweet course. We did a boat license, radio.
Marine biology in high school?
Yeah.
I guess, is that kind of specific to because you were in Cairns?
Yeah, like a lot of kids end up going to JCU in Townsville, or even in Cairns, they've got a marine biology course there. And just working off the reef, and I came pretty close to doing marine biology instead of acupuncture.
That's actually what I coincidentally wanted to do.
Oh, yeah.
Out of school, wanted to get into marine biology and got my tertiary entrance rank in that, and got into, what was the uni course, but...
What ended up happening?
Decided not to go. I just thought, there was motorbikes and girls and everything, you know. I thought I want to go to uni.
Go drive a limo instead.
No, that came much later.
Well, thinking about it, I don't know if it'd be that fun of a job. Like you don't barely get to be on the field. Most marine biologists that I've talked to, they end up just sitting behind a computer most of the time. And if you're into research, then you're just crunching numbers and looking at statistics. I think that would bore the shit out of me.
And it's a popular field, right? Or when I was looking into it, a lot of people were wanting to get into it.
Yeah. There's a lot of people doing it, so it's pretty competitive. There's a lot of people out there, and they're all not really earning that much. Like it's a lot of work to do it. Heap of them I find end up
get right up to the the top of it.
If you can nail like some kind of big research task, a lot of them I find just end up working on boats because you get to be on the field, you get to talk to people, and I love it up there. It's a good spot.
So you've obviously been out on the reef plenty of times.
Yeah. I kind of grew up on the reef. We had family friends who ran dive boats and ran cruise companies and stuff, and other friends, high school mates who had scenic flight tours that took people out to Lizard Island and stuff. Yeah, it's good up there.
I got pretty lucky when I was just out of high school because a good friend of mine at school who could speak Japanese and coincidentally had his dive ticket, got invited to go and become when we were in the heyday of Japanese tourism, got to go and be like the chief dive instructor on Hayman Island, straight out of high school. And so I went up there to visit him and stayed up there, so I got to stay at Hayman and go out on the dive boat, and we went snorkeling, and he put me through my diving thing and that. And
nice.
It was good, yeah, really good.
And do you want to come up to Cairns and do the advanced?
Well, there's a lot of things I'd love to do. I'd love to do that, but...
Pretty sure there's rain planned for the whole next week here. So
oh, yeah. That's right.
Might have yourself a holiday.
It's a pretty unreal world, isn't it?
Where's Hayman Island? That's not off... I'm thinking of Hamilton.
So that's...
Mackay.
Well, Hamilton is more or less beside Hayman, I think. Straight out off... it's in the Whitsundays.
Yeah.
Is that out off Mackay? Oh, Airlie Beach.
Yeah, Airlie.
Out off Airlie Beach, yeah. Stotts Point, I think. Was it Stotts Point? Is that off Airlie Beach?
I think so.
And then you just head out to...
Speaking of people who graduated at the con, I had a bunch of mates who went to the con in Mackay, and part of their course was to head over to the island and just do gigging over there, which sounds awesome compared to ending up in like jazz dives in Melbourne for minimum wage. Like, no offense. I mean, I'd love to do that job, I reckon. I feel like a bit of a struggling musician doing acupuncture sometimes. But if you're a muso, at least you could be, it'd be fun.
Yeah, well, doing something you love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes that's a bit, everyone's on this search for trying to do the thing that they're the most passionate about, and you look at that and then you look at job dissatisfaction and anxiety and depression and stuff, and it's just rife in our community. And I feel maybe it's more about just doing what you need to do and finding peace in it, and then in your spare time doing what you find, or maybe just working 2 days a week.
Yeah.
Or 3 days a week.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of pressure on people to chase money, obviously. Obviously differs a lot from person to person, but most people don't have a choice, just have to work. I shouldn't say don't have a choice, because everyone has a choice. It's just that people sort of kind of get trapped thinking they don't have a choice, and forget how to make their own choices, basically. And you get this situation where a lot of people kind of depend on having their choices made for them by the powers that be, or the television or whatever, and people forget that they do have the power to make their own choices and pursue their own goals regardless of their financial situation or whatever,
It's a bit of a trap, isn't it? Anyone can start a business, and you can take whatever time off you want, and you can charge what you want, and you can do whatever
your rates are going up this year, right? I got that harsh email the other day. I was, can't afford a sauna anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Imi comes at a price. And she's worth every cent.
And she was meant to be here tonight, right, on the show.
Oh, was she?
I was hoping.
Yeah, she's not quite a hero yet, and she's not from the area. We're working on that.
That's right.
We'll get her down.
Yep.
No, Cosm's growing. It's good. And
So that's the name of your business, right? Cosm Health?
Cosm Natural Health, yeah.
What is Cosm?
Well, Cosm's kind of like it's like
Cosmopolitan.
like microcosm or macrocosm.
Ah, yeah.
The idea that within everything bigger, there is something smaller that represents the bigger, and vice versa. And pretty much everything in nature, like if you think about the Fibonacci sequence or the golden ratio, that kind of thing. And in Chinese medicine,
I don't know anything about.
It's all about, the neurology in the body represents that same sort of macrocosm. It's like a fractal. So that's kind of where the name comes from. And it's a 4-letter word. It's easy to say.
Cosm. It is easy to say.
Yeah.
I always looked at it thinking Cosm, that must be, 4 words that are like an abbreviation.
Oh, yeah. We could make it one.
I'll think of something for you. Make a big sign.
Yeah, I'm actually embarking on some new study as well. I don't know why I signed myself up for that, because I've got a lot on at the moment anyway. But
for the business?
Yeah. So I've started a functional medicine course. It's a year course. And
what's that? Functional medicine?
It's kind of like a little bit like what naturopaths do.
Oh, yeah.
They take a lot of tests. They do like stool analysis, and it's really around gut health and diet.
Is that the main reason you're getting into it, so you can do stool analysis? Something you've been dreaming about since you were a kid.
I love looking at poo. Most Chinese medicine practitioners like talking about poo. It's I feel like it'd tie it off. Every time I come up to this limitation where I can't sort of, I'll be looking at bloods or and I just want to order tests, and it is within our scope. If any acupuncturists are out there like wondering, am I allowed to look at bloods, and am I allowed to supplement vitamins or prescribe vitamins? You can do that. You've got a health science degree, you're allowed to do that. But I feel like this is a knowledge base that'll be really useful for more like lifestyle practices.
So at the moment, do you actually do blood analysis or at your practice?
Yeah, people usually bring their bloods in, and we'll sort of go through, check out the white blood cell count and their nutrient.
Oh, so you mean they'll bring in their...
Yeah, we don't actually take bloods. I don't do live blood analysis.
That's kind of what I was working towards there.
Yeah, like where they get the microscope, and I'd like to learn how to do that.
But then after this study, you will be able to do that, or?
I think that's a separate course on its own, but it would be useful. Yeah, it's more just looking at possibly blood culture, and then just like a full blood count, just a rundown of all the different vitamins. Yeah, chemistry, man, it's like way over the top of my head. But
that's why I quit uni.
Chemistry.
Environmental science, and I was thinking, this is going to be great. We're just going to be talking about turtles and whatever.
Yeah.
Pretty psyched, and just straight into a maths bridging course and chemistry.
Yeah, I felt like that too. I thought, here we go,
just like,
going to hippie school.
Yep.
Acupuncture.
Yep.
This is like
I ditched it.
Harry Potter's School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Get to talk about chi and like and then here we are doing biology and chemistry, and it's like, oh shit.
I don't mind biology though. That was the part of the course because at high school I came out with really good results in biology and a few other things, but pretty much actually failed chemistry. And then when I got thrown straight into it at uni, I was just like, You
ever think about getting back into it?
Into environmental science or nah? Well, I've been lucky enough to kind of end up sort of being in it anyway through earth moving.
Yeah, in a
we
way.
We ended up into this weird kind of situation where we were kind of doing environmental work or rehabilitation sort of work.
Yeah, so you're talking about that property down south, hey?
Yeah.
You guys have been working on that for over a decade, haven't you?
Yeah. Bits and pieces, yeah.
And that's like a revegetation sort of.
Yeah, kind of recreating the sort of swamp / wetland sort of that used to be there, and also a pretty large reforestation.
How does that work? Is that about directing water in the way that you want to take it and replanting sort of organic matter and stuff?
Yeah, well, you kind of, with the water side of it, you kind of need to find a happy medium between where you want the water to go and where it naturally would have gone, kind of thing. It's hard when you a property that's been drained for cattle farming, like an old swamp that was basically filled in and all the trees levelled and buried and turned into and then drained so that it could be grazed.
And what's the soil like there? Have you guys had to sort of replant the soil or create lots of revegetate so that you've got that leaf fall and plant that soil back up?
In some areas, the whole place was just barren, like a grazing paddock pretty much. So the reforestation in some areas has got to the point where it is now naturally regenerating kind of thing, but then in the wetland area it's still pretty fresh, so the trees are small and it's basically just sort of like a not just an experiment, but basically like a fledgling ecosystem kind of thing, which hopefully will grow from.
Must be cool to watch over how many years did you say?
About 16 years. Yeah,
it'd be cool to see that over 16 years, how that's developed.
Pretty incredible. And some of the tree growth down there, just within 3 years, the last 3 years has been pretty incredible.
Yeah, we don't spray at our property. And just actually Lance sort of taught me about this, and it's just basically selective brush cutting. And in the areas that are where things don't really grow, if you get like a fern shoot out or a pioneer species like macaranga or something, you just brush cut around it and let it thrive. Let those weeds or lantana or whatever stay low so that tree can thrive, and then it shades everything out. And then you get that leaf litter that creates organic matter on the ground, and then that holds the water. And then all of a sudden the soil is just way more plentiful. And even in the 4 years that we've been there, or 4 years that I've been working on our property, I can see that happening, and it's pretty encouraging.
Surprisingly, how quick nature will actually take over by itself.
Yeah.
You can see around here local examples of farmers. Well, farming is just like a constant battle against nature.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, you're constantly fighting to stop nature from taking back over. And as soon as you get lazy,
doesn't take long.
No, it doesn't take long at all.
As soon as you throw the towel in, it's like, that's what's going to be here when we're all gone. We've had our little battles and yeah,
it just comes back. The old guys around here always used to say the same thing about some of the steeper properties and that, like you just, you think you've got this place, but as soon as you stop working, it's gone. All the work you've done.
I think our place was like 30-year regrowth, isn't it? There's a couple of old big stumps, but most of it seems like it's shot up pretty quick.
Might be able to find out actually. Well, Lance probably would have the best idea.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. The music stopped. It's all over.
All right.
Thanks, Mr. Hayward.
Thanks for having us, man. It wasn't very heroic, but till next time.
That's right. Next time you'll be a real hero. How long do you reckon that was?